So first I would say, I would want to underline everything that you just heard. That's a lot of really great advice in terms of how to reach out to social networks, and Ning is a powerful, powerful platform for that. I would testify to that as well. I work for a company, Dewey Square, and we work for both issue advocacy type clients as well as political clients. And for them, for all the reasons you just heard, we built a tool set that we call Radar, which was initially built in-house, and it was designed to reach out to the entire internet and allow our clients to hear their own voice on the internet in a really objective, very clear, methodical way. They could judge the impact of what they're doing and how it's working, as well as judge and get an early look at what their opponents are doing and what's working there. We called it Radar very much on purpose, as this is supposed to be an early warning system. This is supposed to be something that lets you judge and move quickly and nimbly based on the information you have and based on really cold, hard facts. We built that initially, covering all the things that really you just heard about now, covering social networks, covering websites, covering discussion groups, just all of the things, covering the blogs, all the things that you'd think of, but we very early saw that we had a huge, sort of gaping hole that we needed to help fill that this tool didn't do, and nor could we find one that could do, in the sense of social media. We needed to be able to track not just what was being said on the blogs, but what was being said in the comments of YouTube or MySpace videos, etc. We needed to be able to see when the videos themselves were taking off and be able to give you an early warning on what was working and an early warning of what wasn't, both on your own content and your opponents. Now, the size of that was pretty dramatic to us in terms of the size of new media. Some of those stats we just heard about. This is from this December, so assume that this is already old. But 149 million people viewed online videos last month. Of the active internet users, that's approaching almost 80% of the entire US internet. All these are US numbers. This is what that chart looks like in terms of growth of the internet and growth of people streaming online media, and you could see how they track to one another. When you look at what services they're using, this makes the original purchase of YouTube by Google look very smart. It still is the 800-pound gorilla in this space. But there are others, and when you look especially downstream, you could see tons and tons of others that have smaller, much more niche markets. Those are equally important, and in the political space, this can be more important. Fires can start there that then spread up to the larger social media sites. And then this number that again came from December, where YouTube described that 14 hours of video are being uploaded to the YouTube service to be hosted by them every minute. So we were like, we need to track this space. We need this to be something that we can track as well as we feel we are tracking the blogs, as well as we feel we're tracking the social networks, etc. We found a company that has a tool that they were using primarily for the entertainment space, selling it to record labels and to studios. They had not touched the political space. We discovered it and saw there's something there that's really special, we think, and we did a joint partnership with them, and now we have the sort of exclusivity on this tool for the DC space. We made this sort of part of our overall Radar suite, and what this does, in essence, is track YouTube, MySpace videos, Metacafe, BitTorrent, but then also 150 other services. And it allows you to get very detailed information, some of which I'll show you a snapshot on, of who is watching consuming the media you put out, and who is consuming the media that your opponents put out. And does this all in a very real-time fashion. The first thing that you can look at here, I'm going to step over a bit, is you can see all of the videos. Let's say this was you as an author on YouTube, or an author on MySpace videos, or an author somewhere else. You could track all of your videos, and it tracks it not just by how many hits it gets, but really by the reach it gets. And that reach is organized by things like how many comments are being placed, how many people are giving this sort of a high recommendation, how many stars is it getting. It aggregates those all down into one index and lets us see that. It can be very powerful in that you could see when things first start to really spike early, both when your content and your opponents. You could also do searches, by the way, on anything. You could do searches not just on your published content or your opponents, but you could do searches on a term, like a term that your cause is around, like global warming or energy independence, etc. And then we can give you data there on all the videos that touch that topic and what they're doing. We also can get you much better demographics, we feel, than you can get elsewhere. This includes, male-female breakdown, gender breakdown. It could be, if you're working on an international effort, it could be by country, but then for the US-based efforts, it could be by state and city. Who's viewing your content where? If something starts happening regionally, we can let you know immediately. Just some of these things are things that you can get from other sources, but you can't really get it, A, about your opponent's content, or B, up on broad terms anywhere else that we've seen. So for instance, if you wanted to know where a specific issue was in the minds of people, we could give you a slightly better view of where the online community is viewing that than you could get anywhere else. We can also let you see who are the key influencers. So you're not just tracking your own content, but you could track the key people who have uploaded content about your cause or candidate or issue. So in many ways, like we mentioned in the social networking space, the best method is to deputize the people who are already your ones, the people who are already the most converted to your cause, and deputize to believe in what you're trying to do. And you could find those people and identify them here early and bring them into the mix. It's just a very key piece of what we feel is really necessary for people to understand versus when they just put something up on YouTube and hope. And lastly, or next to lastly actually, Mimic, which is a feature that allows you to do better what's called search engine optimization for your videos. So you probably put the videos up on YouTube or other places now and throw one or two keywords up and think, well, I think I got it. What we could do is go to the entire user base of each of these different services and say, of videos that are similar to yours, that have worked well, what keywords did they use? What drove that traffic? So in other words, if you're doing something, again, I'll just use environmentalism, but if you're doing something on global warming, you could go find all the different videos on global warming, which ones really worked, which ones didn't. And then you could follow and mimic the keywords of the ones that did, because something happened there right. And when you look at that, it's one of the ways that you can do something else to ultimately pull up and push forward your voice among the many. And then lastly, we can also show you everyone who's linked to or embedded your video on their website, their blog, their social network, and your opponents. So if you're list building, or if you're just trying to build out social networks, or if you're trying to build out really ultimately your digital advocacy, it's key to know who's already linking to you. And this is one of the tools that we can bring that. And again, this can be for your videos. You could kind of see where your opponent's videos are taking off or aren't. And you could do a very specific outreach to the people that are already interested in your cause or candidate or issue enough to embed that on their blog posts or to put it into their social networks. It's just really key. In many ways on the internet space, you can feel like it's just so out of control and like almost like a pandemic. It can get out of control. Like somehow or another you lose control of your message and suddenly it's just a wildfire. The people who actually fight real pandemics tell you the only way to really do it is early detection and early response. And that's what we think this tool offers. So thank you.